Welcome to the DebConf 22 Travelogue. We only have 3 people, 4, 5-ish in the room at the moment. There's more people who are eager. Maybe they're stuck at lunch. We don't know. We know at least the Indian people wanted to tell their story. But in the meantime, we have Gunnar, who says he's willing to go first. And Anupa says he's willing to go second. And maybe by the time they're done, we have more volunteers who'd like to tell their story. To be added to the queue, you can add your name to the Etherpad, or you can raise your hand and then we can add you to the Etherpad. And then you can come up and tell your story and we'll be interested to hear it. Gunnar, you're first.
Okay, I'm tasked with opening this buff. I have quite a couple of travel histories getting to DebConf. Mostly everybody around here has heard what I went through to come this time, but so I decided it would be more interesting to talk about how I got to Bosnia 11 years ago. The thing is, I was very happy at the moment because I had got very cheap tickets. I knew a friend of a friend of a friend that worked in an airline, and he had got me tickets that were subject to availability of seats. So I don't remember how that's called in English. Standby seats. Yeah, yeah. And well, I was very happy. I would go from Mexico to France on a direct flight, and I had bought my tickets from France to Croatia. Like 3 days before the travel, well, of course, they told me, your tickets are non-refundable, but are non-available. It's mid-July, you know, there's no seat availability. So in 3 days, we had to find a way to get my and my then girlfriend tickets to get to France. So the best we could find is a route that was Mexico, Bogota, Madrid, Paris, and we got to Paris 3 days before leaving to Croatia, which was nice because we got time to travel a bit, to walk a lot in Paris. There we met Ben and Nattie, who were on their way to Croatia as well. And when we met in the metro, we got pickpocketed. So we had no money left. Fortunately, my wife is very diligent, and she had money back at the apartment we got lent, and one card. Well, after that, it was nothing more spectacular happened until we were on the way back, because it was more or less the same route, but we had 3 days in Spain. So when we landed in Spain, we wanted to get some euros. I went to an ATM with the only card we had left. And the ATM at the airport swallowed my card. So we had some dollars, but exchanging dollars in Spain is not easy. It was like 2 a.m. We had a shuttle to the hotel. So we got the shuttle that was already paid by another friend that lent me his card, so the hotel was paid. We got to the Barajas town, which is near the airport in Spain. Next day, we had to go back to the airport because only at the airport we could exchange the dollars. And well, then we had 3 nice days in Spain. So that's basically my other sorry experience coming to the Balkans. I hope next time I come to the Balkans, I come flying first class with no issues and everything works out. But so far, coming to the Balkans has not been easy for me. So thanks.
Next up, we have Anupa, who will tell her story. Next up, we have Anupa, who came all the way from India, who also has an interesting story to share.
Thank you for the chance. Thanks for arranging such an event for us. And yes, we are glad to attend DebConf 22 as part of Indian team who are arranging the DebConf 23 in Kochi, India. And being part of the Indian team, we had the perks that we didn't need to wait for the bursary approval. We already thought that, yeah, this is all sorted out and we can go to the DebConf so easy. But later then we found out from the website that there is a visa policy, and of course we didn't know how to get a Kosovo visa before. So from there we came to know that we had to send our passports to either Istanbul or New York to get our Kosovo visa stamped on it. Being an Indian passport holder, we are not allowed to send our passports via mail to any other country with some other person. Like, we should carry it wherever we go. So if someone, customs could seize it if they find out that we are sending it out on mail. And so we had to figure out some other way, some other hack to get the Kosovo visa stamp. We were in touch with the local team here, and they found another way that we could come to Albania and get our visa stamped in the Tirana, Kosovo embassy. So from there, it was a whole adventure trip. So we had to plan our entire trip, like going via Tirana and then coming to Prizren by bus or somehow. So we didn't know how to pay for the things, like if they are available online or not. And we got our flight tickets to Tirana. We applied for our visa, of course, but we didn't get any reply from the embassy that they received our application or not. So we were waiting for like 2 weeks without any reply from them, like hoping that we will get Kosovo visa and we can complete the journey. Of course, we had the to and fro travel tickets with us. We didn't even know if Debian would reimburse it without attending the DebConf. So yeah, we were on an edge there. But still, even on the previous day of our journey, we didn't know that we would get a Kosovo visa. We just came here to visit Albania as tourists without even mentioning about conference and the immigration. So if they knew about the conference, they would ask us if we have visa for Kosovo, and we didn't have that. So yeah, we pretend to be like tourists, came to Albania and had some fun there in Tirana for like 4 days. Went to the Kosovo embassy, and finally, yes, they approved our visa gladly, and we got our visa stamps on the passport. And yeah, maybe others can tell more about it. I think I have taken enough time. I will close my story with the Tirana part. Maybe Shruti can continue with it. We have more in the team, so yes, we have more time.
Next up, we have someone else from India. She just came running from lunch, so still catching her breath. Another person from India, Shruti. You want to share your story with us as well? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think, I didn't hear what Anupa said. Story would be somewhat similar. We left India. We weren't sure we will get past, we'll get boarding tickets. Fly Dubai will, we weren't sure whether Fly Dubai will give us boarding tickets, because supposedly Indians coming to Albanians are red flag. Albania is a red flag. So somehow we passed that block. Then we reached Indian immigration. We weren't sure we will get past that. Somehow, they asked, where are you going? We said we are going to Tirana. For what? Conference. We didn't mention Kosovo. They didn't ask where. We didn't say where. So we get past that as well. And the easiest was, I think, the Albanian immigration. We had one check at Dubai. There they were show us all the bookings in Tirana. I'm like, okay, take the bookings. We had a long session there, convincing them that we will come back to India after the Tirana thing. Actually, if we had like Kosovo visa already approved, that would have been like easier. We are going to Kosovo, we'll come back after the event. That would have been easier, but yeah. So somehow we managed. And we reached Albania. Albanian embassy, Albanian immigration was the easiest. After getting past that, then we realized we didn't take details about our accommodation, the address, or anything. Like, we weren't sure we will get to Tirana, so we didn't bother to take details about the instructions to go to Airbnb and stuff. And we were like, we had the address, but we didn't take the instructions. So we had an adventure trip there, finding the place. And as she said, we all, like 3-4 days, we were unsure, like we will get visa or not, or we'll have to like roam around in Tirana and Albania and go back. But since finally we got, then, yeah, last day, like, yeah, we came to Kosovo, and it was like, while coming to Kosovo, like we were dropped at outskirts of Prizren in Brini Market, and there was a minivan which took us to Prizren town. So after reaching Prizren town, the guy said, okay, we try to communicate to them, like we want to go to Innovation and Training Park. At that time, the German camp thing wasn't conveyed, so we didn't know the better usage would have been German camp. We didn't know that. We used like translators and stuff to convey that we wanted to go to Innovation and Training Park. So the driver was like, the taxi people will take 50 euros. You give me 20 euros, I'll drop you there. We said, okay, fine. We were 10 people, so we found it was okay. Anupa was having the phone with the map on. She was like, oh, this vehicle is going the opposite direction. The vehicle is going in the opposite direction. So I was like, no, Anupa, let's don't panic. We will go in the right direction. But it turns out we were actually going in the opposite direction. The guy took us to a park. And he was opening the door. Okay, we will get out the luggage. Like, we were panicked. Like, we didn't know, he didn't speak even a word of English. We didn't know how to tell him. Somehow we're like, all of us had a SIM from Albania, but somehow like calls weren't going. Somehow we figured out how to call, and we called Arianet. Then we made him convince him to drop here. So finally we were here. So yeah. That was an adventurous trip.
Anyone else here who want to share their story? Oh, I see someone is kind of being bullied into. Oh, okay, good. Okay, come along. Next up is Nattie and Ben.
Hello, so it's very rare that we do things together at DebConf, but this is my glamorous assistant who would like to tell you all about how... Say something. How we got here.
Well, we try not to fly, so...
And then I'll correct him.
We try not to fly, so we wanted to take the surface route with trains and boats. And Nattie did a lot of research onto this.
Well, I mean, we got the idea from Debacle, who'd mentioned it on the mailing list, and I kind of just did what he did. So it turns out you can get here if you go all the way down from through Italy and cross the Adriatic at Bari. Apparently you can also do it from Ancona, but that's another matter. Say something.
So yes, we had a large number of trains taking us to Rome initially. Mm-hmm. We had to cross Milan in
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes.
So originally the amount of time allotted to get us across Milan was like half an hour. Unfortunately, our incoming train was 10 minutes late, and then the taxi queue was
Very
slow.
long.
And so then...
So, yeah, but we made it onto the train from Milan to Rome,
With all the,
itself was also late.
With
so
all the requisite sort of manic driving, but he very gallantly took both our suitcases, and I sort of ran along with the provisions bag. And however, when I saw that the train driver caught my eye and smiled at me, I knew we'd make it onto the train. So then. So that was a night train. This was the night train to Milan. If we'd missed that, we'd have been stuck. So.
To Rome.
No. Oh, sorry. From Milan to Rome. Sorry. We can construct a narrative.
And then we touristed around Rome for a bit until we met up with Tafria.
So we arrived at Rome like ridiculously early. The thing arrived at 6. Rome isn't open at 6. Rome doesn't really open till 9. I mean, unless you, I don't know. Does anybody know anywhere that's open in Rome at 6? Because, feel free to tell me. So then eventually we made our way to Bari on the train, where it proceeded to rain copiously, absolutely bucketing it down. And
we got a taxi over to the ferry.
Yes. However,
one of the ferry places.
Yes, but what he's not telling you is that there were like fights breaking out in the taxi queue, because altercations, verbal altercations. So we got there. There were no taxis, so we weren't sure which way the taxi queue was forming, and people sort of queuing up both sides, and like there were. We managed to get a taxi, luckily, but there were definitely people having disagreements over who should be next after us. So then. Oh yes, also, if you want to take the ferry from Bari, you have to go to the ticket office before going to where the ferry boards, even if you have a ticket, because you have to check in. So then...
then you have to use the shuttle bus to get between the ferry and the ticket office.
The shuttle bus is irregular. And then you have to wait in line for immigration, or possibly emigration. I'm still not sure whether that was to get into Albania or out of Italy.
Yes.
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 So then
the ferry.
We stood at length.
Oh, well,
At tremendous length. Oh, also there was some dude in front of us towing a
drum of vegetable oil.
This high, this sort of diameter of olive oil, presumably, that he'd attached to a wire coat hanger to drag along. I mean, one sees very interesting things. So then the ferry. You can talk about the ferry.
Well, it turned out that Judith had booked a cabin for 4 people rather than 1 person, so we ended up.
So
going
we
with him.
tagged along on that, which is we're very grateful. We're extremely grateful. In the cabin, however, there was no power or showering, so we.
Yeah, it was a little cramped as well. But
we slept. We slept. It was good.
So then we got into Duris, and hey, there's a bus station just over this
over
bridge.
The bridge.
It's not the bus station from which you get the bus to Prizren, though.
However, we didn't know that until we'd already been there some 4.5 hours.
It was fine. There was a place to eat and drink.
Yeah. So exactly. We managed to sit in a cafe. It was more or less fine. We kept hearing, buses departing for Tirana, so you have some dude shouting, Tirana, Tirana.
In the end, we got a bus to Tirana because we didn't see any bus to Prizren at the allotted time.
Luckily, then, no. Then we got to Tirana. However, this was the urban bus station, the sort of domestic bus station. and not the international one. So there were lots of domestic buses. Eventually, we managed to ask somebody at one of the at one of the ticket stands what we should be doing.
And they arranged a taxi to the correct bus station in Tirana.
Mm-hmm. Which was fine. We went through some sort of bizarre back alleys. Well, I mean, the alleys weren't bizarre, but it seemed like a sort of shortcut to get there. And then we finally got to the international bus station in Tirana.
And picked up the bus that we had booked originally.
At least we think it's the right one. We got here, and then I think it was running behind a bit. So it sort of went flying over mountain passes at definitely above the speed limit. But then again, the speed limit was like 50. So
yeah,
it was probably going closer to 90. But we got here.
As you can see.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's
no, and then we arrived as pretty much everybody did on... Oh, sorry. Then we arrived pretty much as everybody else did on the outskirts of Prusen. Got the minibus in, and as we were among the first to arrive, they had absolutely no idea what was coming in terms of people asking for taxis. So we were like, to Campi German, and they're like, what? Why would you want to go there? But we got here. The end.
Thank you. It's always nice when Ben gets in a word. Is anyone else up for sharing a story, or is that it? I think, Rhonda, come to the front and tell us your story. Or stories.
Yes, the travel things. My travel to this DebConf started a bit earlier, or rather the troubles with the travel started a bit earlier, because I had my company pay for the trip, and given that I'm working since 4 or 5 years under my name, they didn't even think about that the name in my passport is a different one. And they booked the flight, and then I saw the reservation and thought about it. Maybe I would need to change it, because, yeah, name rights, names work different in Austria, and I wasn't really able to change it properly. So I tried to call up the flight company, and I was hanging for 1 hour in their line because of reasons. They were overworked or something, and all the COVID-related cancelling of flights, obviously. So it took me an extended amount to get even through to them. Then they told me, yeah, they don't usually do this, but there's this possibility. I have to send them my passport, and then they're going to change it. So I did that, got a mail back, and said, yeah, okay, we're going to change it. Usually it costs something, which, okay. A few days later I got a mail, and they told me, yeah, please call us up. So I was hanging for yet another hour in their waiting line, where they told me, yes, you have to pay the fee. And I was like, okay, but you could have told me this in the email. So I handed it over to my colleague at work, because they were paying for the flight, so they were hanging in the waiting line for yet another hour, to give them the credit card information, and told me, yes, I should have received a mail with the receipt, which never appeared. So I went to the airport early because I noticed I couldn't even look at the booking reservation online anymore. So I was there, was sent from one desk to another desk to a third desk until I ended at the ticket desk. And there was a guy who was fairly unfriendly. He was like, yeah, you can't take the ticket because it doesn't match your name. That's a completely different person. And I told him, yes, that's me because of name rights, blah. And yeah, but if you wanted to change your name, we don't do this. And I said, yeah, but I was told that it's done. And yeah, then show me the receipt. And I was like, I haven't received it. And they were like, yeah, bad luck. So I told him, yeah, maybe I'm able to pay now. And he said, yeah, okay, you can do that. So I got my ticket, but the boarding pass, so I had go to yet another desk to get my boarding pass, which didn't have a seat on it. So I had to head to the gate and was at the gate and was told, yeah, the flight is overbooked. Please wait in the line. Give me your boarding pass and we will call you. I was there with Gregor and he got also no seat, but he was called up earlier. So he was told already he got a seat, but the person behind the desk told me, yeah, I don't have a ticket for you yet. So I was getting kind of nervous, but in the end I got a seat and got with that to the plane. So the flight itself was fairly without any further inconvenience until we arrived at the airport and we went to the luggage pickup station and there were luggage coming, and mine didn't came up and I looked at my boarding pass and I figured out, so, I don't have my luggage sticker on the boarding pass because I got a new boarding pass and they didn't move it over. So I was sitting there waiting for my luggage without the receipt for my luggage, getting even more nervous, but I think it might have been one of the last suitcases that came out. So in the end it worked fairly well, but it was a really, really annoying, nervous situation through the whole process.
Thank you, Rhonda. Anyone else? Is that the end of our stories? It seems so. Okay, thank you everyone for coming to share your stories. Maybe we'll do this again next year. Thank you.